I hope you all had a good New Year's Eve. I hope you set some good goals for yourself this year. More importantly, I hope you have good systems and good methods in place. A goal without a system and a method is just a recipe for frustration. You need a method and you need expertise for whatever it is you're setting out on. Whatever journey, whatever conquest you're setting out on, my fellow conquistadors. So the title of the live today is 2026 will be ravaged by modern day conquistadors. Yeah, the modern day men of honor. That is what we are moving towards in this whole space. The manosphere. We're sick of pickup artistry. We're sick of all wanting to be, I don't know, the big playboy. We're sick of the alpha Islamic harem life. We're sick of the soy boys. We're sick of the fucking money, look, status, looks maxing spurg life. What we want to be is conquistadors, men of honor, or maybe you're a rogue, It's a much healthier model, right? And that's what women ultimately want as well. They don't want to be a statistical notch on a guy's millionth lay count. So men of honor, conquistadors, or rogues, right? We're going back to those old archetypes. Pick one, boys. Those are where the action is at in 2026. Most definitely. So yeah, let's get into it. First of all, as we come into 2026, if you're on this channel, I'm Joseph. I talk about dating, relationships, and cold approach. If you need to make a change, you need to upgrade that masculinity. You need to get that darker, deviant coming out of you a little bit more. You need to have a bit more authority. You are certainly in the right place. If you want to know about approach itself or international travel, you're most certainly in the right place. And I want anyone watching this live now or later to ask themselves, what is going to change this year? Where you are right now, are you happy with where you are right now? The options you've got in your phone book, the contacts you've got, your ability to generate new contacts, are you happy right now? Not in 6 months, not what your fantasy is in 3 months. Are you happy right this very moment? Are you happy right now? And if the answer is no, what are you going to do about it? It's a very simple question. Are you happy right now with your options? And again, if the answer is no, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? Nothing changes unless you change, guys. Nothing changes unless you change. Unless you change your life, nothing's going to change. And not only will it not change, it will deteriorate. The law of entropy means it will deteriorate. I'm 40 years old, right? If I don't keep my beard in good check, it's going to deteriorate. Yeah, if I don't keep my amazing biceps in good check, they're going to deteriorate. Yep, I have to exert pressure and force and energy every single week in order for my body to maintain, just to maintain and improve. If not, it's going to deteriorate. Yeah, and it's the same in all areas of your life, your business life, your romantic life. So what's going to change? Nothing's going to change unless you do. Ask yourself that question, brother. If you're new to this channel, I'm Joseph, I'm Wing Bro. I don't pull any punches because we don't have time to here. We don't have time to. And there's a lot of guys out there just wishing and wanting and waiting and fannying around and just thinking someday their train is someday their bus is gonna come in. They're just gonna passively wait around and someday they're gonna meet the girl of their dreams. Someday their business is gonna just fall into their lap. My friends, it's not gonna happen. No one is coming to save you. Unless you save yourself, unless you go out there, start taking action, start finding the right people and get the right education, nothing is going to change. Nada. Yeah, nothing is going to change. Nothing changes until you change. Okay, and what do you want me to say? What else do you want me to say? No one gives a fuck about you, to be perfectly blunt. Nobody fucking cares, especially about your personal life. Even your parents don't care about your personal life. Maybe if your dad's like my Italian mate Sergio, who's just my 72-year-old wingman, maybe he might care because he's an absolute legend. He gives his son all sorts of tips, absolute legend. But in most cases, they're not going to care. So if it's your personal life, it's on you, my friend. And that's the point of this service. That's the point of this channel, is to assist you in that journey. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So 2026 will belong. Sorry, boys. I understand you guys. This is a Dominican Republic. It's yeah. Commenters. I can speak Spanish, mate. Unfortunately, the way the algo works is it's local. These lives are locally delivered, which is a nightmare, really. I was getting 1,000 views on my Manchester lives. Now I'm out here in the DR. They're just like, this is just talking into the wind. But anyway, this is for my existing followers. If they watch this back, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. So I finished my 31-day challenge in December. These lives are now just bonus lives. So I'll just do them if and when I want to. This might be the only one I do for the next 3 months. I might continue to do them every day, but there's no commitment at all on my end. I'm just a free agent as far as lives go. I thought I'd do one today because it's New Year's Day. And yeah, 2026 is going to belong to the guys who are men of honor. So yeah, no incels, but also this whole, big pimp Islamic harem stuff, like, that's over, guys. There's no time for that bullshit. Yeah, inflation. We've got to make more money. We've got to focus on our business, right? Mostly, you want to be living either with a girlfriend or just some decent options, or maybe a bit of a slow playboy lifestyle where maybe you have a new girl every couple of months or something, like just for a couple of weeks. That can also work. But the days of men having a different girl every night, honestly, like, if you've actually got a serious business, that's just not realistic in my opinion these days. There's just too much shit to do in 2026, and I'd say you're wasting your time. So yeah, I think it's becoming more and more quality over quantity. That's the pattern I see. I even see a lot of young guys wanting to get married these days because, again, it's just like, we want to sort this area of our life out, we want to move on. That is the pattern I see. And it's an interesting change. I think it's a positive change as well. Let's go out there, learn cold approach, improve our options, improve our attractiveness, improve our quote-unquote game, improve our dating, improve our intersexual dynamics knowledge, and let's just get it sorted and move on. Yeah, move on. Get the girl, win the game, move on. Do other things, have the adventure. I think that's the way to go in 2026 and beyond. The 20 teens Playboy stuff, I just don't see that as much in the zeitgeist. Obviously, it's still going to happen, but I wouldn't say that's the main goal that guys have like it used to be. It used to be the main goal. I don't think it is anymore. So, yeah, what other reflections did I have for coming up this year? So yeah, I'm out here in the Dominican. There's girls here every single day. I'm getting numbers every single day. It's pretty easy to generate options, but I've been a bit lazy personally with my follow-ups. My follow-up's been sloppy, so I'm going to be focusing on the follow-up a little bit more. And I'm looking for just quality more than anything else. I'm looking for quality. The more approach you do, the more you realize how little quality there is out there in terms of total package. But that's just part of the game. You just realize, you get fussier and fussier until you realize it's actually hard. It's actually hard numerically to find someone. I'd say you've probably got to do 300 approaches to find a few girlfriend-worthy women. That's been my experience. I got quite lucky early on, even before I started to do it intensively. But overall, I'd say that's kind of what you're looking at. So yeah, bear that in mind, guys. If you're getting started with approach, bear that in mind. This is something you're going to have to be at for a few months. You're going to have some longevity in there. And if you're watching this live, I would say the majority of guys, there's a divide, there's a big divide in my public and the people who get in contact with me. And the divide is guys who are quite clued in, who are actually pretty good already, and they just they've realized the modern dating market doesn't favor them in terms of they're over 30, they're under 6 foot, Tinder's not going to do anything for them. And so they don't want to go to clubs anymore because they're in their mid, late 30s, 40s, but they know they've got something to offer and they do have experience. Guys like that, I really want you to get in touch with me because I can definitely help you. We can definitely get results. So that's a certain bracket, that's about 10, 20%, but 80, 90% of guys are guys who are actually pretty clueless. This is what I'm realizing. Really just don't understand the whole picture. So there's a lot to learn. You've got a lot more than just cold approach to learn, man. I can even tell the way that guys interact with me. You know, guys hesitate. Guys call me up, they go on and call me, then they fanny around and fuck around. They want to do an immersion, they want to go and pull girls, and yet they fanny around and fuck around. And you wonder why. You wonder why you're not getting anywhere in life. This, you know, it is what it is. Let me tell you what happened on my immersion. I found a guy online commenting on one of his videos, got on a call with him the next day and sent him the money in 30 minutes. If not less, probably in about 15 minutes. He gave me a menu of options, I selected the option and I sent him the money straight away and we booked the dates. There you go. 2.5 years later, bang. I'm walking around, I've got options coming out my arse. That's what it needs to be. That's my example, and that's what it needs to be. Yeah. The other guys I know who've done very well, my friend Paul University, he's got a channel, good guy, younger than me, he's more in the younger market. He did the same. Found the same coach, bang, I'll send you the money straight away. Let me get in now while it's a bargain and while I can. So that's what he did. Yeah, Balthus day game, exactly the same. Yeah, the guys who have got big results with me are guys who go, right, I want to do this. We speak, we get the details, and they send the money and we book it and we get ready to fucking go. Yeah, and I will be in your corner long after you want me to be in your corner. I will still be there. I will still be there. Like with Ethan. Yeah, I actually went way beyond the 90-day support, which is part of the package with him. I went to about 5-6 months with him because I saw the effort he was putting in. And eventually, 37-year-old Asperger's syndrome loses his virginity. Yeah, that's just such a good example. That's an example that calls every other person out who watches this channel. If Ethan can do it at 37 and a virgin and with Asperger's syndrome, and he gets on a call with me and he basically sends me the money the same day, what is your excuse? Do you want me to hold your hand, fanny around like you're a little 12-year-old boy? Or do you want to actually go and get something? Yeah? This might be your problem, my friend. This might be your problem. The way you handle dealing with coaches, dealing with this, dealing with that, that's the way you handle the girls. Indecisive, passive, not knowing what you want, not being willing to pay the price and do what is necessary. Yeah? I paid the price. This is what it is. The world, no one is coming to fucking save you. No one is coming to save you. Yeah? If you invest in yourself and you invest in the right people, then you get allies. That's how this works. Yeah, that's how this works. My time is valuable and sparse. I do not have much time. So if someone wants to work with me, you know, sort yourselves out, basically, is what I'm saying. I already have an existing online business which funds my lifestyle in the Caribbean. So I don't even need to do this. But I'm doing it because I feel very passionate about this. I want to make content. I feel very passionate about this. And I think this is a movement that we're going to take forward. Me and other guys and guys who come in as well. I really believe in this movement for men. Because, fuck me, how much knowledge has been lost? How much knowledge has been lost? So I'm here I did my first cold approach at 15 years old, my friend. I'm 40. First cold approach, closed after 20 approaches in Kingdom nightclub at 15 years old. Lost my virginity to that girl a few months later. And yeah, here I am, 40 years old now. It's a crazy thing, it's a quarter of a century of this stuff, so yeah. Anything else? That's a big rant, but sometimes you just need to slap in the face, boys. What do you want me to say? And if guys who are on it guys who are on it will hear this. If you're on it, you'll hear this and go, this is the guy. This is the guy I want to work with. Guys who do things like, if you've been around athletics, sport, competitive environments, high intensity business, competitive creative endeavors, you'll hear me and go, yeah, this is what I want. The little soft guys, they'll fade away, because I'm not the guy for you. I'm very compassionate, but I don't want wishy-washy people to come and work with me. You either want it or you don't. You either want it or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. Just don't work with me and just go and accept your fate, which is to be a herb man. That's fine. That's fine. Maybe in 2-3 years time, maybe you'll hit rock bottom then, and then you'll go, you know what, fuck me. I need to go and work with one of these guys. All the good guys will be a lot more expensive by then, but anyway. Let's talk a bit of history today. I listened to a great podcast yesterday, which was a guy who, which was from a guy who is a Eastern European academic, and he analyzed. I'm just gonna get all of you guys out, man. I might actually put. Maybe I should put the no comment thing on. How do I do that? Can't do that for now. But yeah, it was an Eastern European academic basically saying that the radical shifts in the male-female interaction and culture, particularly in the USA, is the defining issue of our times. It's the defining issue because it trickles down into everything. It trickles down into birth rate, it trickles down into who has custody of children, what kind of culture you have. Do you have a more masculine, bold, confident, assertive culture, or do you have this overly empathetic, estrogenic, totally non-vigilant, delusional culture? Yeah, basically a masculine or feminine culture. And if you look at the direction of the US since the 1960s, but even before that, the direction of travel has been to this feminized culture. Look where they are right now. Ironically, that's when the daddy comes back, Mr. Trump, yeah, the orange hat man. That's when he comes back. A guy like that has to come along. When there's only so weak you can get before things will collapse, and when things get very weak, even including women actually, will begin to instinctively feel we need protection now. And so that's why the orange hat man, why the orange hair man came back in, yeah. And he does classical things, right? This is not a politics channel, but it is related to politics. This is what I'm increasingly realizing is it's related to culture, and culture is shaped by many things. One of them is the legal system. So there's all these legal changes in the US, introduction of abortion, introduction of no-fault divorce, all of these different things, right? Child custody, all this stuff, child support, which has overly favored women to the detriment of men, but also the detriment of the whole society. And so game itself, and also the culture, like the media, how everything was so like Disney fantasy, just ridiculous. Win the girl through being very submissive to her and romantic and all this stuff. Just the stuff that was in the media in the 80s and 90s, which guys in the 2000s were brought up on, and realized, holy fuck, this stuff doesn't work at all. And that's where this whole community, the game, began, with Neil Strauss and Mystery and all those guys, who started to look at, analyze what they could actually do to improve their odds. And it's all very counterintuitive. It was all about, they did lots of games, and that's why they call it game, but it's all about effectively tapping into female nature. That's what it came down to, although they didn't phrase it like that at the time. So that's the origin of it. It's a counterbalance to this new dating environment where just being a solid guy and having a job and good prospects used to be enough. And social pressure would mean there was very little promiscuity 90% of people getting married either just after high school or certainly just after university. And that was just how it was. And the population successfully reproduced itself. Things may not have been perfect, but you had a viable civilization. That has all gone by the wayside in the USA. And Europe is not far behind, although I do think Europe has preserved itself a little better. And so yeah, so you have this insane culture over there in the USA. I talked about it on the previous video I just put up. I do think American guys, maybe you're just used to this caliber of woman and you don't see it, but anyone else coming in, like any other foreign guy, would just see that as like, oh my, that is just so insanely repulsive. I don't know how they can deal with it. So I think American guys would definitely do well to go overseas. American guys are very well received overseas as well. There's that Americana cowboy image that they have, and they're actually very well received. My one piece of advice for Americans would be, don't throw your money around too much. It makes people think you've got low self-esteem and you're trying to buy everyone. You know, like, you don't need to be tight, but don't throw your money around like a complete lunatic. I see it here. Guys come here in the north of the country. The American brothers come here. They spend all the money on prostitutes. They only date prostitutes, to be fair. And then they complain. They complain that the girls are gold diggers. It's fucking insane. But they're the ones coming here, throwing their money around. Not that they have that much, but what money they do have, they're throwing around, which is just stupid. It's a stupid way to live. So yeah, by all means use it when you want to use it. But that would be my one piece of advice for American guys. But basically, you guys are very well received in pretty much everywhere. You know, Brits pretty much mostly like American guys as long as they're not too obnoxious. And sometimes in individually is better than big groups. And then the rest of the world, I would say they're pretty well received. So, and you've got a big business culture behind you as well. So, yeah, you know, have a look overseas, boys, if you're from the old US of A. So, yeah, this whole space is a kind of counterpoint to culture. It's a movement to restoring some sense of dignity and optionality for men. And I think, should we say game 1.0, the Neil Strauss mystery thing, that was game 1.0. Game 2.0 was whatever was going on in the 2010s, this kind of like very hyper, you know, massive lay count, sort of like notch count, hype man, RSD stuff, which was, a lot of it was fake, to be honest with you. But a lot of it was fake. They used actresses and they never disclosed it. Which now that I make content, I realize, like, I can understand why you would use an actress in the sense to do a demonstration. That actually makes sense, because game in real life can be quite chaotic. So it makes sense, but you should disclose that. You know, like, there's guys out there who do use actresses and stuff, but they actually disclose it, right? They're not trying to make out that it's real. You know, so, but just their whole hype stuff, and not very effective either. Whereas now I think this next generation, everything I'm seeing in my group, my mastermind, is everyone is good, dude. Everyone is fucking good. And it's also more realistic as well. It's more realistic as well. So I'll say, for example, there's girls I close. Honestly, sometimes I end up sleeping with them 1 year after the open, if you can believe that. Some people are, oh, you want to sleep with them the same day. Yeah, it can happen. In my experience, that's more of a club thing for me personally, but I know guys who do that. I commonly, like in the last 5 or 6 years, of girls I've got their contact or whatever, and I stay in touch. For one reason or other, the logistics don't line up, and then I do a bit of sexting now and then with them, and very commonly meet up with them again 5-6 months later, a year later. One of my students I work with, Jay, he's I think he may be meeting up with a couple of the girls he met on his immersion, and that'll be probably like 6 months after he actually met them. So that's actually like realism. That's actually a good result as well, because people's schedules are busy, and everyone's schedule's busy, but if you make a great connection and you really have that moment of magic, it can come to fruition many months later on. So yeah, I'm not going to sell you that you can that every guy is going to be getting laid every single night of his life through daytime approach. You can get same day lays. You can even get it on consecutive days. But I'm not going to tell you that's what you're going to be doing. But that's not the goal. The goal is for you to get options that you're happy with. That is it. Yeah. And especially as you're older, guys in their 30s and 40s, I don't think you should really be looking to ratchet up tons of numbers, because that's going to detract from a pretty serious part of your life, which is your 30s and 40s. These are your biggest earning, biggest building years. So you want to make sure you're actually doing the right things in those years, and obviously enjoy yourself as well, but don't lose focus, essentially. So I just think we're in a more realistic era where people realize, yeah, you can level up, you can get great results, but it's not like the fantasy of having a fucking orgy every night. Like, what planet are we living on? That's not 2025. Maybe it was a little bit nightlife in the mid 2010s. It actually was, to be honest. I have a hard time believing. I wonder if that's still happening now. Because I'm 40, I've had offers to go to parties recently, teteos, and I've not been to any of them. I just can't be arsed, because I'm like thinking about the lack of sleep and stuff like that. I'd rather just go on evening dates and then just meet girls in the daytime. Maybe all that shit's still happening. I'm just not privy to it anymore as an old man. Benitez, yes, I do speak Spanish, mate. I speak fluent Spanish. But this is a channel, it's not really for guys in the Dominican Republic, even though I'm here and it's going out to a local public. Really, it's for my public in the UK, and a little bit in the US and Canada as well. Strax, mate, Happy New Year, good to see you. Good to see you. How is Manny? How is Manchester? The Theatre of Dreams. Yeah, the last thing I'll say as well, just before, probably, I'm not going to stay on too long today because my battery's already running low. But the importance of balance, man, the importance of balance. I think the whole pussy chasing thing is just a very depressing way of life. I even find it myself when I go out to run like training drills just to prepare myself to train students. I've done so many approaches now. I really do find it like, there's some days where I'm just like, man, this is so boring. I don't want to do this. And I just feel like I'm in a state of unbalance. So for me, it's like I'm realizing it's increasingly important to spend time around guys, spend time doing hobbies. Approaching women should be like maybe maximum 20% of your life. And that's if you're doing it intensively. For the rest of the time, it should be like 5% of your life. Oh, nice one, mate. So yeah, I think balance is super important, and I also find as well, I just do better with the girls themselves when I'm balanced. When I'm actually out chasing and hounding, I don't do as well. The results don't come as easy. And when my most successful periods of when it was when I was consuming quite a lot of MGTOW content. And that was the time I was getting the most ass. It was weird. And I was like, doing some thinking about the whole MGTOW thing. I think the spirit of MGTOW I get. The actual practicality of it, I don't. Basically, MGTOW, men going their own ways, saying, we are not going to be constrained in relationships that don't serve us. Just because, and even if the social norms have gone in a certain direction, does not mean we have to conform to them. So that's the spirit of MGTOW. And I actually think it's a really cool spirit. It's not practical to never sleep with a woman, right? And I also understand from an American point of view, I actually think it's applicable there. I think if I was in the US, I'd probably have a MGTOW channel. But the irony was, like, I was actually still going out, and I probably had was giving off an energy of just like, I don't want to know, yeah, just get away from me. I'll take you on the dance floor, I'll grind you up, I'll sex you up, and then I'll just like, get away from me. And that was the time I had the most success. I actually was having really good success at that point. And yeah, when you feel like you're chasing, it feels gross to me to do, to be honest. It feels like I'm degrading myself to do it. So it's like you want to be moving forward, but also be nonchalant at the same time, and arrogant as well. That's kind of what you want to do. So yeah, at the moment, I'm personally, this is live as it's a bit all over the place, to be honest, but I'll just talk about myself for a moment. Right now, because I'm coaching, because I'm writing a website, because I'm doing all this stuff to help guys with their approach, women have elevated themselves in my mind just because they're on my mind more than they should be. And I'm actually working on now just like pushing them back down, like, guys, you're not that. Don't get above yourselves. I know you're hot, but just don't get above yourselves, right? So I'm working on pushing them back down again. And that's just the result of starting Wingbro and doing all these lives and doing consultations and blah, blah, blah. But actually there's a paradoxical effect there, whereas it sort of makes me feel a bit like I've put them on a pedestal because I'm spending a lot of time on it, which I don't know how I'm going to combat that because it's going to be the nature of things going forward. So I'll have to think of what I'm going to do. For you as a guy who's got the normal job, you're not doing a channel or anything like that, you know, you want to put them in their place down at that 10, maximum 20% mark. And even the 20% is infrequent. That's when you're on immersion territory. Put them down in their proper place, man. You know, you want them, you like them around, but you can do without them. Yeah. And the best thing, Ian, as well, honestly, the best thing about approach is going out with your mates to do something fun and challenging and having great conversations. That is actually the best part of it. The approaches themselves, like, we know we enjoy that and blah, blah, blah. But by far the most fun part is, like, you know, your mate sees one, you know, we've done it, I've said one to you, you said one to me. It's great. That's the best part of cold approach. That's actually fun. That's actually enjoyable. Who doesn't want to meet up with their mates, have a coffee, talk about whatever, and then just go and do 5-10 approaches in an afternoon with a guy who actually gets it? That's what it's all about, you know. So yeah, that's actually the best part of approach in my experience. So doing solo sessions, like, I've done so many to learn and to develop myself and to have empathy for students who are going to be going out solo, and it's a necessary part of things. But I think the sooner you can get wings, the sooner you can make it a fun thing to do, the better. And the best results always come when you're out in groups. I remember some great approaches you did last year in Manchester, great sessions that we had. Daniel as well, Jazz, myself. I remember one I did, which you pushed me into, which was this big Nigerian girl who actually dated her, had a good vibe with her, but that was right at the end of the session as well. And I wouldn't have, she was with 2 people, and I wouldn't have done that alone because I just maybe now I would, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's the whole fun of it, basically. So guys, if you can find yourself wings, that is worth its weight in gold. One wing is honestly a wing is probably worth about the same, honestly, as a girlfriend, in terms of the value that's going to give you. It may be more, to be honest. Depends. If we were back in the club days, like, I would say my wings were worth more than girlfriends, more than hookups, more than lays, because it's like, yeah, I can go after this one girl on my own, or I can go out with my wings and we can both pull 5 girls and it's fun. Well, how much is that worth, you know? And there are levels to this whole thing, like, you know, that the highest level that we can actually get to is, I don't think guys in this space have even seen it yet. Mostly I've seen it because I've lived it in my 20s, which is where there's 3 or 4 of you living in the same city, and you're throwing in an event every couple of weeks, like drinks on a Friday night, and then you go out and you start to pull in the girls and bring in the girls, and you start to develop a scene. When that happens, it's over. Then that's when stuff gets crazy. That's when it gets to, like, you know, music video type territory, where you're having an after party and there's 10 girls in the after party, and there's 4 of you, and you're fucking bringing shit out the fridge, you're bringing the honey jar out the fridge and getting on the... It's madness. That's actually what can happen when you've got a few guys in the same place and you start to roll on a social vibe and you become the center of the party. And I know we're in a different era, the digital era and stuff like that, but I still think that's all applicable now. I really do. And we've not quite hit it yet. We had maybe a taste of it in Barca and Belgrade, but we're still very daytime heavy. I'd like to integrate more into social, to be honest. So it's more fun as well. And it's just fun to be around, you know. So yeah, but that's because the friendship is at the center of everything. The friendship and the fun and the events, and the girls they just want to be part of it. You're not focused on them as they're the fucking queen. They actually just want to get on the fun. So yeah. So yeah, boys, don't make women your goal. Don't make them your altar. Put them in their correct place in life. If you've not been laid for 2 or 3 years, you've gone without anyway, so what fucking difference does it make? In a way, you're in an advantageous position, because if you survive this long, you can survive a bit longer. But they always need to be in their correct place. You want them as an assistant and as a sidekick. As I say, you don't want to be thinking about it too much either. I feel like, yeah, at the moment, I dislike the place I'm in right now. Paradoxically, because I'm just dealing with the woman question so much, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way around that. Maybe I'll start boxing every day. I know that's what Casanova does. I think it's a good thing to do, something like extremely masculine on that end. I'll have to think about what I'm gonna, yeah, or maybe just get a girlfriend again and sack all the other girls off. Fucking messaging all these girls, it's just annoying me. It's not just, in the end, it's not just about getting a girl. It's really not. It's about getting a girl on your terms. That's actually, the older I get, the more important I realize that is. I don't want a girl on terms that I don't enjoy. You know, where the girl's a bit demanding, and sometimes you do make concessions because the pussy is good. You shouldn't do that, but it's like, or just like, I don't know, whatever. Ultimately, you want the girl on your terms. That's very important, man. It's very important. I'd rather have one girl who's a 7 or 8 on my terms than a girl who's a 10 and she's just annoying and just a bratty little child, attention seeker, spoil. That to me is a negative in my life. It's worth nothing at all. The ideal is obviously the 10 who is all of the above. I think it is doable actually, but it's just like, it's going to take some finding. And there's also things that you can't numerically analyze as well. There's like, I was looking at some ex-girlfriends the other day. I was just like, the girls that turn me on the most physically, they're not girls actually who would be your typical model type. The girls that turn me on most physically have an almost slight barbarian look to them. Like, they've got great bodies, like model type bodies or curvaceous bodies or athletic, strong bodies, but there's almost like an angular, barbarian quality to the woman. That turns me on. That makes me want to fucking ravage them, like I'm a hunter in the plains. And sometimes when the girls look like that very classic thing, it's nice to look at, and I don't know, it just doesn't quite. I need a barbarian girl, basically. It doesn't do it for me. Been speaking to a lot of models and influencers this last month or so, finding a lot of them coming out of the cracks, but honestly, none of them are doing it for me. And I've not met a girl who's been doing anything for me recently apart from the big tit, half Chinese Dominican girl. But even her face is a bit too soft. I need more angles in there. Aggressive looking girl. The lioness. So yeah, and then who's good in the kitchen, the bedroom and all that stuff. That's what I actually get off on. Maybe it's a bit of a learning process for me. Just realizing that, you know, there's what you're programmed to like by media and stuff, and then there's what you actually physically respond to. And for me, those two things are a little kind of different. And intelligence as well. Intelligence is such a big thing, man. I just can't do. Brain dead girls just annoy me. So if you're a smart guy with standards, you know, you have to accept it's gonna take some time to find someone. But when you find them, the chemistry is gonna be explosive. Yeah. Yeah, if just look at it on a scale, right? How many men are intelligent? Let's say above average, well, let's say highly intelligent. Let's call that 10% of the male population, 10 to 15%. You describe as highly intelligent, probably. That'll be 10 to 15%. And then, which means it's going to be correspondingly the same with women, even though they have 4 IQ points on average lower than us, by the way. But let's just say that she's at least correspondingly more or less the same. So that means out of 10 women that you speak to, 8 to 9 out of 10 are not going to be that smart. So just think about that. And then obviously there's attraction as well. So, you know, you got it, and then there's availability, then there's compatibility, and so on and so forth. So you are going to have to put in numbers. You are going to put in some numbers to get there. One thing I liked about Serbia is I do think those girls are, maybe it's culture, it's education, maybe it's a language, I don't know. I think Serbian girls are quite a bit above average intelligence. I met a lot of smart Serbian girls. Some of them are still a little bit, whatever, but I would say they were some of the most intelligent girls I've met. People say Russian girls are super intelligent, but I've not found that yet particularly. To me, they're just normal. Yeah. So yeah, each culture and place has its own characteristics. It really does, you know. So yeah, I will leave that discussing barbarian girls and get back to work for a little bit. Maybe go out to the zone. I was just out earlier with my 72-year-old Italian wingman. He's my best mate. He's become my best mate out here. This guy. We've got the same routine. We go out at the same times. He's still a maverick. Gives me some good life advice, good health advice. He's 72. He's still got like fucking biceps and stuff. He hits the gym 3 times a week. Absolute beast. Very nice guy as well. He had his kids in his 50s, so he said to me, he's just like, yeah, he's just living for his kids now. He's pretty much retired, and he's just like, you know, he goes back to Italy sometimes to work, but mostly lives for his kids. So it's just a cool guy. Good example. But we'll leave things there, boys. Take it easy. I will catch you when I catch you next. 2026, guys. What do you want to do this year? What do you want to get sorted this year? It might be to do with women, or it might be to do with something else. What do you want to get sorted this year that can't wait anymore? And just focus on that one fucking thing until you finish it. For me, last year, it was nothing to do with business, it was nothing to do with women. It was my book, Blood and Bronze. Get it on Amazon. It was my book. I had a conversation at the start of the year, and I was like, yeah, to be honest, I've been editing this thing for nearly 18 months, maybe even 2 years. It's so long, there's so many edits. I want to get it on Amazon this year. And so that was my number one priority, and I think I just worked on it every single day until it was done. So what is the one thing, boys, you want to get sorted this year? The one thing that's going to make number one priority, right? And obviously, we have multiple commitments, obviously, but you've got to mentally prioritize it. One thing that if this time next year, the start of 2027, you haven't done, this year will have been a failure. What is that one thing, boys? Think about that, and more importantly, do it. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.